What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of This Week in Japan. And I won't be doing this every time, but I forgot it in the first episode. So if you're new here or you're a returning viewer, shout out. My name is Xander Berry. Originally from Northern California, graduated from uni in New York, and now I'm here in Japan. Currently teaching English in Shizuoka City, where I've been for a little over a year. And what I'm hoping to do with this video and with this channel is put out some interesting content, giving you the latest news and the biggest headlines coming out of Japan. So if you're interested in the country or just looking to learn some things about Japan in general, this is for you. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so the thumbnail and the title was not a lie. There is a social media trend going on right now called Sushi Terrorism, or Sushi Terror. It started on TikTok and has made its way onto Instagram and Japanese Twitter, which is where I found it. What is sushi terrorism, you might ask? Great question. Essentially, it's people going around to conveyor belt sushi joints and sabotaging the orders and dishes of other customers without them knowing. You can check out this video to see exactly what I'm talking about. Other instances include secretly adding wasabi, soy sauce, licking or touching the sushi cups, plates, and bowls of other customers, or just eating part of the order and putting it back without actually paying for it. So if you have the preconceived notion that all Japanese people are super nice and friendly, I'm here to prove that wrong. I'm just kidding. This is an American joke. My Japanese friends are literally some of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. And it's also very heartening to see that in the comment section of basically all of these videos is a mob of people commenting on how disgusting and immature this is. At this point, it's basically an internet manhunt to find out who these people are and bring them to justice, because nobody thinks this is okay. In fact, as of January 31st, at least 2 sushi chain restaurants have issued official responses to these videos saying they intend to take legal action against all individuals involved. And it really is unfortunate because conveyor belt sushi has been in decline since the start of the pandemic, especially considering the fact that everyone's orders go around the entire restaurant. And people were unsure if they were ever going to return to this fun Japanese dining experience at all. But now, intentionally tampering with the food of other customers is just another reason why conveyor belt sushi might be on the cutting block. On the bright side though, this really only affects the sushi going around on the slower, lower conveyor belt that anyone can choose from. There is always the option to order directly from the chef and have the order come straight to your table on the high-speed conveyor belt so no one has the chance to touch it. A much safer alternative if you still want the conveyor sushi belt experience without the possibility of someone slapping your sushi around before it gets to you. Okay, so next up is a true crime story that makes the sushi terrorism look like a bit of a kid's prank. I mean, actually, this story could be turned into a movie at some point. 4 Japanese men were just arrested in the Philippines last week in connection to a string of robberies that have been taking place all across Japan. The burglaries are thought to have been carried out by a single group, which received instructions from an anonymous individual who goes by the alias Luffy. Now, as many of you may know, Luffy is the name of the main character in the popular manga series One Piece, where Luffy, as the captain of his pirate ship, sails around the ocean in search of treasure with his crew. And the craziest part of this story is that Luffy was able to give out all these instructions from inside an immigration detention facility in the Philippines. Police tracked the cell phone of a Yuki Watanabe, who they believe to be Luffy, to this detention facility where he has been locked up since May of 2021. While in this immigration facility, Luffy gained access to a smartphone and is believed to have remotely recruited and given instructions to those carrying out the crimes in Japan. It was also common for other members of the group to use anime or manga-inspired codenames like Yujiro Hanma from Baki and Mitsuhashi from Kyo Kara Ore wa. I mean, I personally would have picked something a little bit cuter, but that's just me. While not yet confirmed, police believe Luffy's group was likely involved in several burglaries in Tokyo, as well as one each in Kyoto and Osaka. Osaka. Further similarities in the crimes leads police to believe that it was the same group responsible in several other prefectures as well. Unfortunately, this all culminated in the highest profile case in which a 90-year-old woman in Tokyo was robbed and killed in her home on January 19th. The crime ring is suspected to have been behind around 40 robberies and involved as many as 36 individuals. Although Japan and the Philippines don't have a formal extradition treaty, both governments have agreed to send Luffy and possibly the other 3 suspects back to Japan for trial in the coming days. Okay, so pretty big news in the NBA world, but huge news in the Japanese basketball world. On January 23rd, it was announced that Japanese basketball star Rui Hachimura would be traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Hachimura went to Gonzaga and was drafted 9th overall in the 2019 draft. He'll now be playing alongside stars like LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, and Anthony Davis as the first Japanese player in Lakers history. In addition to Hachimura, another Japanese baller has been making waves on the East Coast of the US. Yuta the Shooter Hachimura of the Brooklyn Nets has been absolutely killing it lately and had one of the best three-point shooting percentages in the NBA for some time. Together with Hachimura, these 2 Japanese NBA stars are really boosting the popularity of basketball in Japan. As it currently stands, basketball isn't even in the top 5 most popular sports in Japan. It sits behind baseball, sumo wrestling, soccer, tennis, and golf. In that order. However, the good news is that prior to Hachimura's trade, the Nets were the most watched team on Japan's NBA streaming service on Rakuten, with viewership up 83% from last year, when without Watanabe, they were only ranked 4th in viewership. Then, on Hachimura's debut game for the Lakers, so many people tried to stream the game that the entire Rakuten streaming service crashed. So I wonder what will happen when these 2 teams play each other. Okay, so I wasn't initially going to add this story because it's such a bummer, but seeing as I'm focusing on news and events relevant to a foreign audience, I thought it pertinent to include this one. And it's even more relevant because I was on a snowboard trip with some friends in Hakuba this past weekend. When our group came in for the day, we heard the news that there had been an avalanche at an adjacent ski resort, and indeed this story has been all over the news since this weekend. So at around 2:30 p.m. on Sunday, a group of backcountry skiers and snowboarders, all of whom were foreign nationals, triggered an avalanche that swept down the mountain and caught 5 of the 13 in it. Now, there was an avalanche warning put out in the Hakuba region for the entire weekend, but as the area was not technically part of a resort, adequate precautions and safety are left entirely up to the individuals participating in the activity. 3 initially made it out of the snow, 1 with injuries that required hospitalization. However, 2 remained buried underneath the avalanche. With poor conditions, the search was called off until Monday morning, where first responders and ski patrol found both men unresponsive and later pronounced deceased. It was just confirmed by ski magazine Mountain Gazette that one of the men was professional skier and former US world champion Kyle Smain, who hails from my home ski area, Lake Tahoe, California. The other man has been left unidentified for now. So no huge upcoming events to share about this week, but I do want to issue a quick update to last week's episode. Since that aired, the Japanese government went back on their initial plan to have COVID-19 lowered from a class 2 disease to a class 5 disease, getting rid of the mask mandates on April 1st. Instead, it has been pushed back to May 8th. Their reasoning being that this is right after the Golden Week holiday, which runs from May 3rd to May 8th, and it may help prevent a spike in cases during this time. And that's the update on the COVID situation. And thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of This Week in Japan. If you liked the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. And if you're interested in what else has happened in Japan recently, check out the previous edition of This Week in Japan, which I will leave right here. And I'll see you next week. Peace. Okay, I think that's about it.